My name is Kim Garst. I am a social media digital marketing strategist, I guess is the best way you could describe me. And I help businesses create more sales leveraging the power of digital and social media. As Periscope is evolving, we have always had trolls. So in my opinion, though, there's two types of trolls, and that we kind of classify as trolls. And I think those are people who are just rude, and then truly trolls who are just in a scope to disrupt by saying inappropriate things, etc. So the person that's just rude, I'd like to just talk about that person real quick. They may be having a bad day. They may, or something may have been said that, just strikes them wrong or whatever. And I think that sometimes you can turn those folks around if, and by simply just, giving them a little bit of grace, showing them a little bit of love. I think that sometimes that should be our first course of action. Instead of just, blocking them and saying, that nothing that they say, is important enough. That's my take. Because I think sometimes those are people that, like I say, could be just having a bad day. Something struck them wrong. They just are being rude. It happens. So I try to give them a little grace, and, hopefully they'll circle back and say, oops, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I was rude. In lots of cases that will happen. And then of course there's just this straight up troll who is, like I say, just in the scope to disrupt. And I just, block those. So I usually give everybody the benefit of the doubt. Absolutely. That should be, in my opinion, you should give the first scenario, the first type of troll, the benefit of the doubt. Give them some grace, try to love them up, and, hopefully you can turn them around. Second ones, guys, you're not going to love those folks up. I mean, they're going to want to see things that you don't want to show. And, so just block those people. The people that are in here, making rude comments and or, requesting, boob peaks and stuff like that. Okay. We don't need those kind of folks. We're definitely not going to be showcasing our private parts in our scopes. So we just, we just block those people. But the bigger problem, and something that I'm seeing a lot of, is the spammers. And I just want to, encourage everybody. We're all on here to grow our businesses. So we're all here for the same purpose. And yet, I see a lot of people who are trying to shortcut it by tapping into other people's communities and, not joining the conversation, not doing it correctly, just simply posting their business and what they do to help somebody, or a link to their website, or, the links aren't, guys, newsflash, links are not clickable yet in the comment section. Yeah, get him. I got him. So anyway, to get back to my point, the trolls do disrupt, obviously. But the spammers, guys, I see a lot of people, again, it's getting more and more frequent to where I will be in someone else's scope and I'll see people's comments go by repeatedly, all about them. I can do this to help you. You need to connect with me, or, things of that nature, versus, just joining the conversation and adding value and letting the business side of it be a byproduct of the conversation and the relationships that you build. I really think that we need to, how do we deal with that? That's what I really want us to address. I mean, the trolls, we've talked about trolls. I've seen numerous scopes so far about trolls. But the spammers, how do we handle those folks? In some cases, they don't know any better, guys. I mean, it's true. One of the things that annoys me the most is when somebody friends me on Facebook and I'll accept, and then immediately they go to my personal profile, or they go to my fan page and they post their business. I mean, immediately. And that's like, it's like a big red flag. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's like an immediate way to get blocked or defriended, or unfollowed on Twitter, etc. So, when you make a new connection on any social platform, please don't do that. try a hi, hello before you say, go in and spray paint on their wall. We don't do that in real life. We don't walk into somebody's living room and spray paint our website on their wall. So why do people think it's acceptable to do it on social media? It's not acceptable. But yet a lot of people don't understand that. They may be brand new to social media. And it's one of those things that I've had to, when it first happens, you're like, ooh, that makes me so mad. And then you have to say, well, maybe this person doesn't know any better. So you kind of have to balance it a little bit with an education piece. So what I usually do is I just go back and with a, hey, why don't you try a hi, hello, how are you first? I point out that it's relationship based, kind of sarcastically maybe, but with love and all good intent behind it. I want to believe that they don't know any better. Now, that said, let's translate that to Periscope. How do we translate that here when things are moving so quickly and the person is doing it repeatedly? If you see it in your comments, somebody who's repeatedly doing it, and or if you are on someone's scope and you see somebody doing it, I would point it out to them, guys, nicely. Listen, why don't you try a hi, hello before you share your business? Why don't you jump into the conversation here and add some value versus, just trying to push your business. If that doesn't work and they don't cease and desist and either jump into the conversation in a way that's value-based or they leave, one of the two, sometimes people will be embarrassed and they'll just leave. But if they continually do it, then I would just suggest that you block them. That would be, there's some people who, after you've told them, and in a way that is kind of graceful and loving, and they don't make a change in their behavior, then they're there purely. They know. They have already been told. They know. They're doing it intentionally, and they will continue to do it. It's time to block them. How do you block people? If you click on anybody's profile side, the color, the comment, if you click on that, it will open up their profile, and you can view their profile, you can block their profile, you can follow from their actual. So if you just click on it, these are the things you'll see. You'll see view profile, block user, or cancel. So you can either view their profile or block them or hit cancel and you'll go back into the stream. So guys, if you're on somebody else's scope and you see somebody who's spamming or if they're a troll, then you can just block them in that scope, and then you won't ever have to see them in any of yours. Quick tip on this, guys, because I've done this too, because comments move so fast on my scopes that I have accidentally blocked the wrong person before. So my suggestion to you, when you do block people, is that after your scope is over, you go back to your blocked, inside of your profile, go back to those folks, and make sure that it was actually the person that you intended to block. Manners do matter on social media. I'm a firm believer in that. All right, guys.